Now there are some new data types in SQL Server 2008, and I want to point out a couple of them right here. And we'll touch on some more probably in some different places in the course. But especially in this date and time realm, I've already talked about those, and you can go see the date and time data types video to get some more information about those, because I went into a fair amount of depth there. But now let's kind of keep going and talk about this date time thing, because it has become such an issue, and Microsoft has heard so much from their database developers out there about problems with these date and times that they've also introduced, along with a date data type and a time data type, a date time 2. That's an interesting name. You normally don't see those kinds of names from Microsoft. But if you remember, we already have a date time data type, and this is very similar to it. It is just a slightly new and improved version of date time. This one, just like date time, stores the date and the time together in the same place, which means you're going to have to format it or strip part of it out when you use it if you don't want to see the time and so forth. It does give you a larger date range than the standard date time. The date time, if you remember, went from 1753 on the year up to 9999, and this one goes all the way from January 1, the year 1, all the way through December 31st, 9999. So you can get a wider range of dates there. And with date time 2, you get an optional user-specified precision for the time. So you can determine, how much precision you want in seconds, hundredths of seconds, nanoseconds, and so forth on the time. Now, there's a really cool one that a lot of people need. Now, this is the same type thing that makes us need Unicode, and especially for web applications in large organizations. There is a new data type called date time offset. And this is really cool. It will store the date and the time together. And notice we go from January 1, 0001, I should say, all the way up to December 31st, 9999. Same as before. Hours, minutes, seconds, and you have a lot of precision on your fractional seconds. This is going to take up to 10 bytes of storage, but here's the cool thing. A time offset. Now really what this has is, it's kind of like a date difference where you can subtract hours out, but they've made it very easy for you to use. And this is an offset from the UTC time. The UTC time is kind of the worldwide standard for time, just like we have time zones in the US, and if you're in another country, you have time zones there. This standardizes those times based on zones around the globe, and UTC stands for Coordinated Universal Time. There's a difference in interpretation from the words, and that's why they're out of order there. But what this gives us is from a -14 through a +14, and these are hours, by the way, and we can also include minutes in there, but we can offset the time from UTC. So we can actually go by UTC for all of our applications, but depending on who's looking at it or different situations, we can show the time in a particular location around the world. For example, here in Middle Tennessee, the correct time for us is UTC -6 hours, and we're in the UTC 6 or UTC -6 section. And if you go out and Google or Wikipedia UTC, you can read all about this stuff and understand what's going on here. But a very easy way for you to provide the appropriate time zone differences for people. And this robs a lot of productivity from a lot of large organizations, companies that I've worked for here in the U.S. When we schedule a meeting with someone, say out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, there's a time difference. And inevitably, if there's going to be 4 people in the meeting here in Tennessee, 2 of them are going to get confused on whether this is Central Time, whether they should be on Mountain Time, whether they should be on Pacific Time, and that sort of thing. And there's always some people either late or early to the meeting or don't make it at all, and they get all confused. With this, we can handle some of those issues in scheduling inside our applications. So that's a few more of the date types that are new in SQL Server 2008, and there's some others, and we will touch on some of the other ones a little bit later on in the course in some different videos.